This is News Today. My name is Faustina Safon. We're live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125. Across all our social media handles, we're Joy News on TV. Coming up this afternoon, Court of Appeal acquits and discharged Minority Leader Dr. Kaiselatu Forson in the ambulance procurement trial. We've got analysis on this. Also in this bulletin, Education Minister touts government's performance in the educational sector, describing it as one of the best the country has ever had. And later in the bulletin, stakeholders ask government to seal Ghana's porous borders in a bid to curb corruption at the ports. We have business, sports and showbiz in this package. Please be my guest. Thanks for choosing us. We're your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. The Court of Appeal has acquitted and discharged Minority Leader Dr. Kaiselatu Forson in the ongoing ambulance case. The ruling sets aside the trial court's directive delivered by Justice Efia Sewa Asare-Botwe, which had dismissed Atu Forson's submission of no case and ordered him to open his defense. Dr. Atu Forson had argued that there was no case for him to answer, but the submission was initially rejected by the trial judge. Ejuji Temaklo, the opposition National Democratic Congress Director of Legal Affairs, confirmed the news to Joy News earlier.
Okay, so what happened is that, as you're aware, when the prosecution called as many as, I think, 5 witnesses.
Indeed.
After they called, we did what, and they said they closed their case, we did what is called a submission of no case. Now, this submission of no case that we did, the judge ruled that a case has been made. And so, therefore, we should open our defense. Now, immediately the judge made the order that we should open our defense. We immediately appealed it. It is that appeal against the ruling on the submission of no case that was determined today. And in the wisdom of the majority, the decision by the trial court to ask us to open our defense was wrongful.
In other words, this means that the entire process that has taken place in the High Court, including yesterday's cross-examination of the CDS and the third accused and all of that, it means all of that
aborted. Yes, sir.
I see. What then happens to the High Court, Justice Efia Sewa? What will be the next moves we can expect of her in the coming hours then?
I have no idea.
Once the Court of Appeal delivers...
The orders of the Court of Appeal is what stands.
Yes, but I'm asking, once the Court of Appeal has ruled in this manner, what will follow from the High Court?
That ends it. Bound to comply.
Well, let's move to Parliament next for some reactions. My colleague Kweku Asante has been engaged in some MPs. Let's listen.
As you know, right from the beginning, we have maintained that this is a political witch hunting. It's not about, because the case, when you look at the case, it's clear cut that, signing a letters of credit should not be a crime, because as a deputy minister, you are delegated by your minister to perform that duty, which fall within his mandate. So it's a political prosecution, and then God being on our side, the learned judge have actually delivered.
So I was surprised by the decision. What I was surprised about is the majority decision. I was surprised about the fact that somebody differed. I thought there would have been a unanimous decision. Oh, that was your thinking? Yeah, that was my thinking, because it was obvious that Atu Forson had not done anything untoward in Ghana, on the ambulance case. But justice has come to be satisfied with the outcome. I hope that the Attorney General will not exercise any discretion to make a further appeal to the Supreme Court.
Parliamentary Affairs, Kweku Asante joins us live with more. Kweku, which other reactions do we have from Parliament?
Wasina, can you come again? I didn't hear that.
I'm asking the reactions we have receiving from Parliament. Tell us more.
Well, so there are a lot more NDC MPs who are speaking up after this judgment. They've always maintained that their leader, Dr. Cassiel Ato-Forson, has been innocent and that this was just persecution by the Attorney General. And they believe that the minority leader did not have any case to answer. The judgment of the High Court asking. They believe that the 2-1 judgment that has come from the Court of Appeal, acquitting the minority leader of any wrongdoing, is the right way to go. Some of them, in fact, like you hear Cletus Abakade say, they were surprised that this was a 2-1 victory. And
Kweku, we seem to be losing connection to you.
Decision.
You'd have to position rightly.
The record was telling me that this should go on appeal and that the Attorney General should go to the Supreme Court.
We seem to be losing connection to you. Well, if you just tuned in, we're just getting reactions from Parliament. We know that the minority leader, Dr. Cassiel Ato-Forson, his case at the court has been discharged and acquitted. Kweku, I'm hoping I have better connection to you. What else has transpired on the floor today?
Well, the sitting itself is yet to start, as you would see behind me. However, there was supposed to be an appointment committee hearing of 2 judges appointed by the president. But that hearing has erupted into chaos because the minority would not allow the hearing to go on. The minority leader who has just been accused was actually there, and he was actually leading the forefront in the minority opposition to the vetting going on. They say that the court had clandestinely, not the court, the majority side had over the last night trying to get this court, this committee to hear the 2.
Kweku, stay with me. I'll come to you shortly. My colleague Latif Idris, who is currently speaking to the 3rd accused in the ambulance trial, Richard Jakpa. Let's listen in.
General wants to go to the court or go to the Supreme Court to appeal against the ruling. I'll meet him there. Even if he doesn't win there, he wants to go for review. I'll meet him there. Wherever he wants to go, I'll meet him there. No. So I don't have an issue at all. I'm really ready for this government. I'm ready for them.
So, that's Richard Jakpa. He was the 3rd accused in the ambulance procurement trial, which, based on the ruling by the Court of Appeal, the 2-3 majority decision. Yes, Mr. Jakpa. Based on that ruling by the Court of Appeal, the case has ended here at the High Court complex, MFA.
Well, in subsequent bulletin, we're getting more reaction to this. We just spoke to the 3rd accused in the controversial ambulance trial, Richard Jakpa, speaking to my colleague and legal affairs correspondent there, Latif Idris. So let me come back to you, Kweku Asante, to just wrap up with us. Tell us, you were just giving us what was happening on the floor. Kweku, unfortunately, I can't hear you. You have to unmute for me to hear you. Let me bring in a lawyer now. His name is Ishaq Ibrahim. He's also a senior lecturer at UPSA Law School. You've been monitoring this case from when it started. What's your initial thoughts about the dismissal of the case?
Yes, so I would say the Court of Appeal have actually acquitted the 2 because the trial judge had made a preliminary ruling that they in fact had a case to answer and that they should open their defense. And I think that was what was appealed to the Court of Appeal. And now the Court of Appeal has upheld the defense case that they have no case to answer, which effectively terminates the case. It actually comes as a surprise because we can see some of the evidence the Attorney General was presenting. According to the Attorney General, it was cogent now to proceed to the extent that the defense should have a case to answer. So it actually comes as a surprise.
Now, we know that this decision by the Court of Appeal automatically annuls the case currently ongoing by the trial court. But then what would happen next?
Yes, so the judgment as it stands now, as you rightly say, if the Attorney General does not appeal against this decision, it means that it effectively terminates all proceedings in the High Court, and then both appeals, both Atu Forson and Japan would have been discharged by the court. It means they have no further case to answer. What the Court of Appeal effectively decides is that the evidence adduced by the prosecution is not enough for them to answer. In other words, they are innocent. The case is not strong enough for them to even proceed to opening defense. So unless the Attorney General appeals to the Supreme Court, of which it is within his right to make an appeal, but usually in a criminal trial of this nature, because individual rights are very, very paramount, usually when you appeal, some people might see it to be a persecution rather than a prosecution. But as I said, I've not seen the actual judgment, so I cannot make a conclusive a conclusive decision as to whether it's appropriate for the Attorney General to appeal or not. But it is still within his right to appeal to the Supreme Court if he's not happy with the decision of the Court of Appeal. But if he's happy with it, it means it's effectively that the two accused are now free men.
Ishaq Ibrahim there, he's a senior lecturer at UPSA Law School. Thank you for your time here on Joy News today. Now, I'm hoping we have better connection to Kweku Asante. Kweku, do we have you now? Oh, unfortunately, I still don't have good connection to Kweku Asante, but we're just giving you reactions there to a new ruling from the appeals court that automatically discharged and acquit Dr. Kaysel Ato Forson, the minority leader, and the third accused in the ongoing ambulance trial, Richard Jakpa. Let's do some other stories now. Stakeholders are asking government to seal the porous borders to halt corruption at the ports or entry points. This follows a Joy News documentary which uncovered how custom officials take bribes to allow traders to transport smuggled goods from neighboring countries. These officials take bribes as little as 20 Ghana cedis to allow traders who have evaded paying taxes on their goods cross the borders. Let's watch excerpts of that documentary, after which would speak to a former Trades and former Deputy Trades Minister, Murtala Mohammed.
We have driven through several checkpoints with these goods without tax stamps from Aplau through to Dabala to Segakope without being flagged. Our movement through these checkpoints was smooth until the customs officials in her mid-30s flagged us to stop at the Sugakope checkpoint. The investigative team assumed this customs official who stopped us was to inspect these goods would get us to pay taxes on the assorted drinks. But we were in for a shocker. She demanded the team pay a bribe of 400 cedis. She allowed us to pay 200 cedis after some minutes of negotiations. I have succeeded in meeting one of the smuggling kingpins in Elubo, who identified himself as Error. For every box of rice he brings from Ivory Coast to Ghana, he charges 20 cedis. It is this amount he pays off to customs officials he works with to facilitate his business. If he can transport 500 bags of rice to Elubo, he will earn 10,000 cedis.
Me charge there saying, and you ever say be about 300, number 320. If you quantity,
300 cedis. 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 300
In the meantime, the dear may share 500 bags. It's me drew and my church. The customs one and see a very more day. I know the 20 cities in man, me met it. There were 20 cities. No problem.
The investigative team decided to test these claims made by the traders and commercial drivers. We bought several boxes of rice from neighboring La Côte d'Ivoire. At the Alubo border post, this customs official, who was identified as Kujo, allowed our boxes of rice bought from La Côte d'Ivoire into Ghana. We did not pay the statutory taxes. When the team got to the customs checkpoint at Samir, our vehicle was inspected by 2 customs officials. They asked me to follow them to their office. They demanded I paid a bribe of 20 cedis and left me to go with the boxes of rice.
So I'm going to use it to celebrate small S-man. What do you have? Rice. How much? 3. So you are going to use it? I'll dash down to my pasta. And then other people. We are in the festive season. I informs you the nitty-gritty. I'll dash you 1 and pay for the 2. How much will I pay? 20. Thank you very much. Here's the book for me. Hey, thank you very much. My number is I thought you were coming to give me receipt. Oh. But the receipt when you pay the duty.
Let's get some reaction to this. The former Deputy Trades Minister Murtala Muhammad joins us via phone. Thank you for your time here on Jaw News today. First of all, your initial reaction to that documentary.
Hello?
Murtala, I can hear you loud and clear. You've watched the documentary. What's your initial reaction to it?
Hello? Hello?
I'm hoping
Hello?
we have better connection to you. I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now, yeah.
Great. You've watched the documentary and the concerns being raised about the smuggling of goods through our porous borders. As the former Trades Minister, what's your initial reaction to this documentary?
Well, first and foremost, I was not surprised when I first saw the excerpts of your documentary. I must admit that I haven't watched the entire documentary. And the reason why I wasn't surprised was that sometime 2014, 2015, when President Mahama reshuffled me from Minister of Information to Trade, I went there and the first, assignment I got was that the small rice importers, and when I say small rice importers, those who bring this rice and other poultry products through our borders, they petitioned the Ministry of Trade to lift a ban which was imposed on their activities by the Honorable Haruna Idrisu's administration. Now, the big rice importers also petitioned that the ban should not be lifted. So what I did, when I had a discussion with the then minister, and he asked that we needed to constitute an independent team to do some investigation. So I used Kofi Kapito. And mind you, Kofi Kapito at that time was a very strong and leading member of the NPP. I used some journalists. I remember, I think multimedia, we had a journalist, we had someone from City, one from PSFM, another journalist we used. The ministry found resources and asked them to go there pretending to be businessmen, bring in rice from Ivory Coast to Ghana, and see whether they will pay the required taxes or import duties. When they went and they came back, the recommendation of the Kofi Kapito's team was that we should maintain the ban on the importation of rice by the small rice importers into this country. And that explained why we were able to maintain a little over $500 million being spent on the importation of rice and poultry products into this country. Unfortunately, when this government came, the first thing they did was that they lifted the ban. Now with the ban, it was illegal to bring in rice into this country through such mediums. Unfortunately, it was lifted. So when I saw the excerpts of your documentary, I was never surprised at all because that has always been the case. And that was the reason why the ban was indeed imposed in the first place. People who don't pay the required taxes, they bring in the goods, the state is denied the needed revenue, and the little money that is made are made by custom officers and other officials who are working at the borders. And I really don't think that it helps this country as far as revenue mobilization is concerned.
Now, for the business community, yesterday we engaged the president of GUTA, and they raised concerns about taxes and how it is burdening the business community. The reason why most of them are looking for means and ways to evade taxes. Do you think that is also a problem?
Well, that is a factor. There have been an increase, but the question is that if the reason of taxes, higher taxes, there's no denying the fact that this government has imposed an acceptable level of taxes on such rice, such importers. But how come that we are spending more and more importing? We have the capacity to produce enough rice to feed this country, and we have done it before. In 2014, President Mohammed's government succeeded in reducing the importation of rice into this country by 40% and increased the production of rice by 50%. You know, myself and some of our colleagues are rice producers. As I talk to you now, I have thousands of bags of rice which are produced last season in Yaba, Honorable Mustafa constituency. Ajimamenu, the former minister for health, has thousands of bags of rice he produced that the state did not buy. You have many other colleagues. I have had some conversation with the Minister for Agri, and they promised that they were going to buy the haven't. How come that NADMO is still buying imported rice to support people who are victims of certain catastrophic events in this country? NADMO, buffer stock, is still buying imported rice. So it isn't the case that we don't have the capacity to produce. It is the case that we don't have the needed vision and policies to ensure that we eat what we can. We are now spending over $2 billion in the importation of rice and poultry products into this country. And that is part of the reason why our city is losing its value. Because it means that every year, importers would have to look for over $2 billion to bring in things you have the capacity to produce. So I think that clearly these are some of the issues. Another point that I think I need to raise has to do with the bonded warehouse. Because that was one thing. I submitted a report as the Deputy Minister for Trade when we were handling it. Submitted a report that we have more than 10,000 bonded warehouses across the country. And the bonded, in Accra alone, we have thousands of bonded warehouses. And what they do is that you bring in the goods, you don't pay the import duties on them. As and when you sell, then you pay the necessary taxes or import duties on them. And we realized that at the time, you can find perishable products, tin tomatoes and rice, that those operators of bonded warehouses say they've been keeping this for 3 years. How could you keep a tin tomatoes in a bonded warehouse for 3 years? So it was a collusion between...
So a lot of work needs to be done.
Hello?
Yes, so I'm saying a lot of work needs to be done. Thank you so much.
A lot of work needs to be done. A lot of work needs to be done about this smuggling and the corruption that, is pervasive as far as the import and export of such commodities are concerned.
Thank you so much for joining us here on Joy News today. Let's give you some updates on our earlier story. The Attorney General Godfred Yeboadame has officially responded to this ongoing ambulance trial. We told you earlier that Dr. Keselato Forsen has been acquitted and discharged by an appeals court. We also told you that the third accused, Richard Jakpa, has also been discharged and acquitted. It's coming up on your screen shortly, that press release from the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice. It says, on the 30th of July 2024, the Court of Appeal, by a split 2-1 decision, allowed an appeal against the ruling of the High Court, Accra, dated 30th of March 2023, dismissing a submission of no case filed by the accused persons and ordering them to open their defense. Point number 2, he says, the Office of the Attorney General considers the decision of the Court of Appeal to be perverse in the quest for public accountability and the rule of law. The decision clearly is heavily against the weight of the cogent evidence led by the prosecution in submission of all the charges against, in substantiation of all the charges against the accused persons at the trial. And the third point, It goes on to say, the relevant facts of the matter, as borne out by the undisputed evidence led so far, shows that, and he tables them, 1, vehicles purporting to be ambulances were imported into the country in December 2014 in violation of the contract governing the transaction. Number 2, the then Minister for Health, Sherry Aite, had cautioned in writing against the importation of the vehicles into the country. There was thus no request by the Ministry of Health for the vehicles to be imported into the country or for the letters of credit which were the means of payment for the vehicles under the contract to be established. We would have to move on to the last paragraph, which gives fundamentally what the AG would be doing next. And he says, which is the 4th point, the Office of the Attorney General considers the decision of the Court of Appeal grossly unfair to the nation and inimical to the fight against impunity and abuse of public office. The office will promptly file an appeal in order to erase the effect of this erroneous decision of the Court of Appeal. And that is signed by Godfred Yeboah Dami, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice. So there you have it. Another showdown we are expecting in court, because the Attorney General has served notice he will appeal that decision by an appeals court that acquits Richard Jakpa and the minority leader Dr. Kaisel Ato-Forson. Let's do some other stories now. The chiefs in the Upper East region are worried about the region's deplorable road network, citing it as a significant hindrance to development, while acknowledging government's efforts in achieving and achievements in addressing other critical areas. They are urging the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to prioritize road infrastructure if elected, citing their confidence in his ability to deliver. Samuel Imbura reports from the campaign trail of Dr. Bawumia.
Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's campaign tour in the Upper East region was met with enthusiasm and support. During his visits to various traditional authorities, he sought their blessings and endorsement for his candidacy. Key issues discussed included road infrastructure, poverty alleviation policies, and the free SHS policy, while acknowledging the MPP's government's effort. Led by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the chiefs urged him to prioritize road infrastructure if elected. Paramount Chief Nab Azaksug Azantilo II of the Busa traditional area pledged their support and prayers for Dr. Bawumia's victory.
Your nomination is an affirmation of the sterling qualities that you possess as a politician, a leader, and a human being. As you take your campaign across the country, I want to wish you the very best of luck. I pray for Allah's blessings for you personally, your family, and members of your entourage. Once again, I pray for Allah's bountiful blessings upon you. I look forward to meeting you in 2025 as President of the Republic, Inshallah.
Similar sentiments were expressed by Paramount Chief Per Ditundini Adiali Ayagtam III of the China traditional area.
Now pray for all those who are following the encourage that God will be with you, to have the strength to follow him, and also help him in whatever he's doing, so that he'll be able to succeed as the next president. As you live here, he and his son, they will now be meeting and tell some strategies and see how they will go through, and then everything will work.
Overlord of the Boku traditional area, Naba Asigri Abugragwa Azoka II, also expressed optimism about Dr. Bawumia's victory.
So, for the first time, we are having two people coming from this area. And definitely, one will become president. And meanwhile, Hele Liman became the first person from the north to become president.
No. So,
and John followed after Heleliman.
No.
As you are seated today, it means you qualify to equally occupy the seat now. By the grace of the Almighty Allah, you will
In response,
win the election.
Dr. Bawumia assured the chiefs that his government would continue to improve the livelihoods of Ghanaians. He announced an initiative to distribute construction equipment to enhance road infrastructure.
We now have a new policy that we are going to implement, which basically is the District Road Improvement Program. Every district is going to be given a set of road equipment to work on your roads. Every district. I am happy to note that all the equipment that we have ordered has arrived. And on Wednesday, I'll be in Accra in the morning. The president will commission the district road improvement project, and every district will get a set which includes an excavator, a backhoe loader, wheel loaders, graders, compact rollers, tipper truck. Every district will have a set of equipment.
Correspondent Albert Sori joins us live with more. He's on that campaign trail with Dr. Bawumia. Albert, where are you heading to now?
Yes, so we are currently in the Midday district, even during constitution, I should say, where Dr. Bawumia just gets a call chiefs and elders. From here, he's been visiting the party chairman's house. You remember sometime last week, the party chairman for the MPP chairman, his house was attacked and his pickup was burned. And so we are just leaving his house where the vice president came to see for himself what the situation is. From here, he will be addressing a rally here in Midday. Then we will move to the Sevilla constituency, where he will have a similar talk, and then he will wrap up the day's visit in the Bolgatanga constituency, where he will address another rally.
Thank you, Albert Sori. Our man on the ground will be coming back to you in subsequent bulletin for updates. If you just tuned in, this is Joy News today, and we just told you that the Attorney General has served notice that he will be appealing that Court of Appeal's decision to acquit and discharge the third accused in the controversial ambulance trial, Richard Jakpa, and the minority leader, Dr. Kasil Ato-Forson. We're taking a quick breather. We'll be back with business.
It's time for business on Joy News today. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. Total value of mobile money transaction witnessed some significant jump ending June this year. Bank of Ghana data put the amount at 1.2 trillion Ghana cedis. There is more in the following report.
The Bank of Ghana data showed that total value of mobile transactions for the first 6 months of this year stood at 1.2 trillion Ghana cedis, compared to almost 900 million Ghana cedis ending June last year. It is not clear for now what might have influenced this surge, but some industry watchers are linking it to more firms and individuals opting for the platforms as a medium of payment. The Bank of Ghana data also showed that active mobile money account ending June stood at 24.4 million Ghana cedis. On the other hand, total number of active mobile money agents was pegged at 848,000.
Now moving on, government is determined to ensure that women in cross-border trade gain more from their produce and businesses from other ECOWAS member nations. According to Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Nana Amadokwa Isiama Ejeyi, it is part of initiative to empower traders in the country. She disclosed this to journalists at a training program for women in cross-border training in Accra.
The training is aimed at equipping women traders plying the West African route on some strategies in businesses to increase their profit. The first initiative featured about 20 women plying the route to gain modern knowledge on enhancing their productivity. Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Anama Isiame J, explains.
We have every intention of supporting the ordinary trader. We want the traders to excel. Not all of us can be doctors, not all of us can be carpenters, not all of us can be architects, and then some are trading and trading very well. And from our position as Ministry of Trade and Industry, we intend to ensure that all the traders are well equipped with the right information to be able to expand their various businesses. And that's the reason why we have met today. In the past, especially in an election year, when traders meet, it's usually the distribution of t-shirts. But here, it's on a different tangent, and although we are in the political season, it is more of a professional program that we are having now, and we intend to uphold it to the letter.
The coordinator of the group, Pearl Poku, expressed gratitude to the government and the ministry for a kind gesture as certificates were presented to beneficiary women.
That being the pilot scheme with the first 20 people, we will not disappoint. We'll make sure we use whatever resources we have to the fullest and to surprise her, for them to know that traders of yesterday are not traders of today. She's taking us through the lines. We've gone for training on bookkeeping, we've gone for training on finances, we've gone for training on bank keeping. She's done so much for us. Traders of today, we can say we are educated on the part of trading. We've gone for trading on marketing. She's taking us through a lot. But today's zone is just overboard. She's really surprised us.
This is a pilot program with support from EcoBank Ghana.
That'll be all for business. We'll be back with sports and more after this break. Stay tuned.
Let's do sports now on JN Today. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Parliament has rallied behind Samatex as they prepare for their CAF Champions League journey. The Ghana champions are 17 days away from their first match against Victoria United in Cameroon. Here's the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Babin.
We want to support you to succeed. You are representing Ghana now, and so Ghana should be behind you. We are one of the three arms of government, and so on behalf of the Parliament of Ghana again, I pledge our support to you. Having last year donating 100,000, and in view of increase in interest rate and the depreciation of the cedi, if I give another 100, it means I've given you lower. So we'll do the exchange rate and other calculation.
And that's your sports on JN Today. My name is Haruna Mubarak.
Good afternoon, you're welcome to the Showbiz segment with me, Jacqueline Ansuma Yabwa. Now to our first story, Ghanaian musician Adina is joining the numerous calls for the preservation of the high life music genre. In an interview on Joy FM Showbiz A to Z, Adina called on Ghanaians to rally behind the genre and give it the support it deserves to thrive for generations to come.
High life music, the heartbeat of Ghana, needs a bit more love to keep its rhythm strong. On Showbiz A to Z with Kwame Dati on Joy FM, musician Adina shared her thought on the genre's future. She believes intentional promotion is key to preserving high life, and that musicians' reluctance to dive into high life often stems from lack of support.
I think that when people release high life projects, it should be embraced. You know, a lot of people should help for it to grow, because I feel like in Ghana, most people go with what's popular. So if a popular genre comes out, if somebody does a song that is in a popular genre, that is what the kids will promote, or even the media houses might want to support, you know. I feel like people should be let's intentionally promote high life music. The more we promote it, the more it will look appealing or interesting to the younger ones, for them to want to also, you know, have a taste. Because at the end of the day, most of the artists that are out there, they just want a hit song. So if the song that they're about to do, the industry will support it to be a hit, I think they will be encouraged. But if they feel like, high life, if I do it, nobody's going to play it at a party, no one is going to play it at a club, you know? So I feel like intentional support.
She shared her personal experience, revealing that she has always received support that she needed.
Every time I have done high life, I've had, you know, great people like Bessa, Uncle Bessa, and even Kovna sitting over there saying, oh my God, this is such beautiful. Like, they always give encouraging words. Especially Bessa. Bessa will tell you that was high life music. You know, you should do it. This is how it needs to be. I'm glad that young people like you are doing high life.
But is high life a path she always envisioned for herself?
High life has been it. It's formed the foundation of my music. And once I finished doing Stars of the Future and I had to decide what the genre would be, it just made sense. Like, it was only right for me to, you know, gear towards the thing that is what would make me a Ghanaian.
With a little love and support, we can ensure this genre continues to thrive and inspire future generations. For Joy News, I am Jacqueline Asma Yabwa.
Well, Ghanaian comedian Lexi the Comic is urging Ghanaians to recognize the efforts of his colleague Derek Kovna Boni, popularly known as DKB, while he highlighted DKB's significant contributions to the progress of many comedians and the comedy industry.
You are not funny. That story, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, no, that one.
I don't need
laughing since you came.
I don't need to, because I don't want to leave this platform and the headlines will be about a certain individual in 2000 and something. I won't give you that mileage. I am doing a lot for myself now. I don't need you. You are back. I don't need you. DKB needs to be celebrated, and that individual, he has done so much for himself. He doesn't need to come here and talk about that individual. He's a failure.
On that note, is a wrap for the Showbiz segments with me, Jacqueline and Sumayabwa. Christina.
Hi, Jacqueline. Thank you so much for bringing us Showbiz. This conversation is still raging on social media. You can share with us your thoughts for Joy News on TV. How do you feel we can preserve the high life genre? Now, let's go from the studio, but for more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Top stories there: ambulance case, Court of Appeal acquits and discharge Atu Forsin and Richard Jakpa. It has been updated, and the update we brought it to you here on Joy News today, which is that the Attorney General plans to go back to court and appeal this case, so expect a showdown. My name is Faustina Safo. Jacqueline, let's go.
All right.